Precinct chairs only be seated in the areas up front. Yes, there's a seating for guests in the back, including the incoming precinct chairs. Please be seated in the back.
I'm going to get right in your camera.
We'd appreciate it so we can get the meeting started. Everybody out to the lobby.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second quarterly meeting of the Harris County Republican Party Executive Committee will come to order. Again, precinct chairs, please be seated. To open our meeting tonight, we're having an invocation by the Harris County Republican Party Chaplain, Ms. Beverly Ferguson, who did an incredible job at the Lincoln Reagan dinner Friday night as well, too. I think she deserves a round of applause for that, too. Beverly?
We are so blessed that we're able to do this and we're able to pray. There are so many places that you can't pray. And I know there are people in this room that have been to places that you can't pray. And, you know, the prayer that was prayed at the Lincoln Reagan dinner means a lot. Because God gave me that. And I believe that it's for a purpose. Sometimes we need to remember that we are the people, we the people. We the people coming together and uniting. I believe what Reagan said, that America's strength is in we the people. All of us here tonight, we the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution, and that was Abraham Lincoln. And I just really feel it tonight to pray that prayer that we prayed at the Lincoln Reagan dinner. Because I think that if we can wrap this around our hearts and our minds and to know what our purpose is and why we are here and why we're all here together of like mind, to respect each other, to see the cause of the Lord that goes, that what he wants to do. And if you'll join me, I'm going to pray that prayer again, because if it'll mean anything to anyone, it's going to mean it to all of us here as precinct chairs. Join me in prayer. Lord, we are here because we the people uphold our Constitution of the United States and not for our personal gain. We the people stand for justice and not violence to ensure a more perfect union. We the people are here to ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense. We the people are here to promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We the people are here to fight for our unborn babies. We the people stand for righteousness for your name's sake. The Constitution has been amended several times, but God help us that we do not amend you out of the Constitution because of the wickedness of men. Let us stand firm. We the people uphold our constitutional rights that were designated from you, that came from you, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Beverly. Who's made standing to lead us now in the United States Pledge is our Harris County District Clerk, Chris Daniel.
Small reminder, it is also Jury Appreciation Week. And all you wonderful precinct chairs do a fine job of coming to jury service. Make sure that your neighbors and your friends come as well. And I'll surprise them with plenty of guests and free cookies and donuts and lots of free tickets to this, that, and the other, as long as they come to Jury Appreciation Week. All right, with that being said, one of your rights, one of your duties under the Constitution besides jury duty is the ability to pledge to the greatest nation in the world. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. And now to lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag is Justice Brett Busby. You have it. Juror Appreciation Week this week?
I'd like to have some precinct chair appreciation. As a former precinct chair, I know all of what you all put in, and we couldn't do it without you. We depend on you to elect good Republicans up and down the ballot. So thanks for giving yourselves a hand, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the greatest state in the greatest country in the world. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thanks, Justice Busby. And now, to lead us in the national anthem is singing Judge J. Karahan.
Thank you, Paul. I want to invite the people to join me in singing the great national anthem of our nation. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thanks so much, Judge. Don't be seated. Yes.
Happy birthday, Jay!
Happy birthday! Is it your birthday? All right, everybody. 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Judge Karahan. Happy birthday to you. You have enough cake to go around? Like the loaves. Let them multiply. And y'all also, before we go any further, I want to thank County Commissioner Jack Mormon for providing all the refreshments here tonight. If y'all would give him a round of applause, Commissioner Mormon. And I believe we've had some caucuses before we got started. Had the senatorial districts who were caucusing provided their results to the secretary. Okay, we have results in Senate District 6, 7, and 17. That was it, I believe. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you for getting that done quickly. And now we will be time for a certification of a quorum for this meeting so we can conduct business.
Okay, total precinct chairs today are 483. Total present is 133. As of 6:50 p.m., we have a quorum.
Thank you all very much. And you have in the packets, the second and third pages, the minutes from the February 2017 quarterly meeting. We had a chance to review those. Are there any corrections to the minutes as submitted to y'all? Typos, misspelled names, we try to get them all right. Any corrections to the minutes? Any more? All right, no corrections. Seeing no corrections, the minutes stand approved as submitted. Thank you very much. Now ask our secretary, Honorable, I'm sorry, this secretary here. I get confused. The treasurer, the Honorable Cindy Siegel, to provide the treasurer's report. Thank you.
Good evening. You should have the financials through March. Remember, our fiscal year started July 1st last year. And given that April just closed yesterday, you only have through March. But what I try to do each time is highlight some things for those of you that really don't want to get down in the weeds and look at the numbers. To date, gross revenues are $1.7 million, $1,760,000. Like I did the last time when we met, I think it was in February, our political expenditures are up just a little bit, but that was because those were just closing out from the November election. Events and fundraising expenses are up in part. That's because when we do Lincoln Reagan dinner, LRD, we have to put some deposits down for the facility, that sort of thing. Committee outreach, this is our 3 committees. It's the youth one, the engagement one, I think I'm missing military. RPT was what we paid, that hasn't changed. Satellite offices is up a little. Payroll, headquarters rent, and then other overhead would be everything else. It'd be insurance, etc. Now I'm going to see if this works. Oh, okay. So I started doing this last time. I did a year-to-date comparison to the prior year to give you an idea, and I'm probably blocking it so you can't see it. So the left column is the current year. The right column is the year before. What I do want to point out is in terms of gross revenue, you can see we're substantially more this last year, in part to 2 things. It's election year, so we had, I think it was approximately $500,000 contributed by our judges for the election. But the other disparity or difference is Lincoln Reagan dinner this year was a lot later, where last year it was into February. Yeah, it was into February. So pretty much all the income and expenses, when you look at the last year numbers include the net results from Lincoln Reagan dinner, where our results in the left corner for this year, it only captures part of it. Okay. So now I just want to highlight a couple things too. Special events, and I did estimate this, but approximately we think we've grossed $300,000 from Lincoln Reagan, which is different than your financial statements, which only go through the end of March. I tried to figure out approximately what we made through the dinner on Friday, and that would include what we think we've got in terms of pledges. Lincoln Reagan dinner is down. We didn't have as many people attending. I think our overall large fundraisers and sponsorships was approximately the same, but when you have less attendees, it's going to be down. Dan Patrick event, Senator Cornyn. There was an Austin event, and then there was a senator reception. The other thing is on your financials, there's, just so you know, what we've got is the Cornerstone and the Foundation memberships. And what we'll be reporting next time, I know that Kate is starting, along with the Finance Committee, really trying to do a grassroots effort, so I will hope to be reporting on the grassroots revenues in the future. End of March, cash on hand, $92,074. Unrestricted net assets, $116,349. And I will note that the Lincoln Reagan dinner didn't include about $80,000, which is included in the Cornerstone and Foundation numbers. That was also for Lincoln Reagan dinner. Questions? Thank you.
No questions? Interesting. Tax season's over. You can take the rest of the summer off. Thank you so much, Cindy. She does a yeoman's job in managing the finances and handling all the federal and state filings as well with the staff. So I appreciate all the work Cindy puts into doing a very professional job as treasurer, with about as much pay as the rest of us. Yeah. But does a great job. Now I want to move on to the chairman's update on the program, on the agenda rather. I wanted to cover a few topics that would be of interest to you all right now. The One is a strategic review. I've mentioned this at a prior executive committee meeting. It is now underway, and you will be hearing about it. I want to make sure you're aware of it. Second is the elections that are ongoing. We've been trying to get a lot of news out about this. It's an off year, and it's the spring, but the elections, we have very active elections going on in Harris County right now, and of course, this week, the early voting, and then election day this coming Saturday. And then in connection with that, I'm going to let you, if you haven't seen it already, and you're on Facebook and everywhere else, what the left is doing, we've been tracking them as well. So we can match them every step of the way. That's our goal. We're not going to let them get a foothold in Harris County the way they want. The first is strategic review. This is a process that a lot of organizations do, everything from small schools to large international, multinational corporations. It is a process by which we take a look at everything the party does, seek a lot of input from various stakeholders involved in the party on things we can do differently in the future, things we could improve on, things we need to do more of. And it's something the RNC did about 4 years ago to great effect. They came up with a plan that really laid out how they built a ground game that elected Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump, as was well publicized, he didn't have much of a ground operation, but the Republican National Committee, through all the state parties, provided that. So he was a part of, that's the kind of process. We're not going to do anything near what they did as far as the scope. But this is important that we get the data, take a good look at where we are in Harris County and what we can do and how we can improve and be more effective and win more elections going forward. So there's, what this first chart shows, it's going to be both quantitative research and qualitative research. The quantitative research is what we have a lot of, although we can always use more, is taking a look at what really happens in the elections in Harris County. Who votes? Where do they vote? A lot of data we can find out about them. How do our candidates do? How do different parts of the county look, both demographically and every which way, as far as you can look at the voters, what are the future projections, and so forth. This could be an evergreen process where we do this continually in the future, but we certainly need to do it now, and we'd love to be able to do something that we continue to do going forward. So you start with the quantitative data that talks about exactly how the data you can measure that's out there, but you have to mix it with the qualitative data. And this is where we have input from, as I mentioned, all the stakeholders in the party, and needless to say, every precinct chair is a stakeholder, a key stakeholder in the party. I mean, under the law, we are the party. I and the precinct chairs are all together to constitute the Republican Party, so we're critical to having input to this process. And the goal is to have as many voices provide input as possible. It could be thousands of people by the time it's all done, and we hope it will be. So, just so you know, we're not trying to do this in-house, by the way. If you get a call or hear from a guy named Greg Parker, he's not even from Harris County. We wanted somebody from outside the party to sort of steer this process. This is his business. He does management strategic reviews of organizations. He used to do it for large corporations, Shell and others, and now he does it on his own. He actually lives up in Montgomery County. So we gave him a visa to come down here and help us here in Harris County. So the next screen gives you a simple idea, a general idea of how the process is going to go forward. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the details, but we're going to collect data, which is particularly quantitative data and information, and try to analyze, and also the qualitative data. What do people say? What suggestions people have? What ideas do people have? What complaints? What insights? And we use that to analyze it, ultimately identify particular problems and challenges we have, and propose solutions. And in the end, we plan to produce a report with a lot of recommendations. Probably we won't get them all done, but there'll be recommendations on things the party could do in Harris County. The ambitious part of this is to get it done in 3 months. The next slide shows you the 3 general areas, how we're going to get this, start soliciting this information. There's a task force we've recruited. There are some precinct chairs on it, as well as a lot of other people, donors, Republican women, a lot of other constituencies that will help shepherd and oversee the process. There'll be one good cross-section of the whole party providing input. So what you're about to hear about next will be focus groups. Now, the challenging part of this is you have to go somewhere on a weekend probably and spend a couple of hours. But it's well worth your time We're going to be doing these geographically around the county. And again, Mr. Greg Parker will be overseeing these focus groups to get into various issues. He's got a series of questions to elicit good information from everybody who has interest in seeing the party do better. So I should mention there will be forums if you're interested in being on one of the focus groups. There's information on the candidate table in the back, little one-page flyers, list the dates and locations of the focus groups we have. I think there's about 8 or 10 of them already scheduled over the next month and a half. So hopefully you can take part in those. You'll see the schedule and the time, and I think it says Ashley Pello, of course, our organization's director, is your contact. And so Ashley should be busy lining people up to attend the focus groups. And lastly, will be an online survey. This will be a very broad request for information. You'll be getting these. I know after the election last fall, we did send precinct chairs requests for surveys about particular things y'all may have done in your precincts. We want to be able to tie, what was done in the precinct with the results and see maybe what works better and what doesn't work so well in each precinct. And so that was part of this, but this going forward is going to be an extensive online survey. You'll all be getting it, and we welcome people's input. And we hope, ideally there will be hundreds or thousands of people providing information here. So, go to the next screen. So this is the hoped for schedule. We're doing one-on-one interviews with a task force initially to get things kicked off. That's happening right now and through early May. By late May, we hope to have, actually probably get extended into early June, the focus groups concluded. So there'll be 10 or 12 of these, probably at most, around the county. And then early June, the online survey would be done, and ultimately the task force would sit down and review all this data, and with Greg Parker's input, he's going to help us collate all this information, with ultimately the goal of having a report mid-summer. And we'll make that freely available, provide it to everybody, and hope that y'all can participate in as much as participate in the process as much as possible, because it's going to be, the output will be as good as the input. So we want everybody's input in a constructive way as possible. Any questions about the strategic review process? Happy to answer any. A lot of information there, but be sure to grab a brochure on the back table if you're interested. The candidates table over there, and let Ashley know you'd like to go to one of the focus groups, and we'll get you scheduled. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about these May elections. Stan right here. Stan, how many elections are going on right now?
62 elections.
And how many are you handling?
I'm running 8 of them.
So,
and that's the majority of the people. That's probably 80% of the people running 900,000, but probably about 1.2 million actual eligible voters.
And about 300 have shown up. Probably.
A little bit more than that. Yeah, not huge. So your impact, your vote has a lot of weight.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm going to show here. These are various municipalities. You may know there's an HISD election. I know there's some literature in your chairs about that, and a resolution tonight, which is simply a referendum. That's probably the largest district. But as he said, there will be 54 elections that even the county clerk is not running. They're running their own elections. But some of the more significant ones are the HISD proposition, which involves property tax, Humble ISD school district, northeast part of the county, Pasadena city elections, and the Pasadena ISD. And interestingly, the Pasadena ISD is running its own elections separate from Pasadena, so they even have different polling locations to add to the confusion. So we can make a huge difference. So what's interesting is the breakdown of the turnout. This is through yesterday, who has turned out countywide in these elections. The red, obviously, this is based on the data we have on voters who've turned out. Again, it's pretty small numbers. What's the total turnout so far, Ben? It's a few thousands, a few tens of thousands, I suppose. Pretty small turnout, very low turnout. 49% Republican, 46% Democrat, and 6% independent. So we can make a huge difference in these elections if we turn out our voters. Take a look at the Pasadena elections. Next slide. There are 7 people running for mayor in Pasadena. 4 of them have Republican voting histories. We have not taken a side in those elections. One of the bylaws amendments that will be we're going to consider tonight is a proposal to allow the advisory board, particularly because there will likely be a runoff, to be able to ideally take sides in the election if we end up with a clear Republican and Democrat in that runoff, which would be very soon. So what we're doing now is the same thing we did in the Houston city elections in 2015, when there was just a large field of voters, is getting our voters out, trying to make sure they're informed, go out to the polls, find out about the Republican voters, the Republican candidates, pick one and go vote for them, but don't let the Democrats take over these elections just due to the lack of enthusiasm and the lack of interest. We think we can make a difference here. The longtime incumbent mayor of Pasadena is retiring. That's why there's 7 people running. There are, as well as the Pasadena ISD, some interesting races there. The indivisible people, I'll show this in a second. Texas Organizing Project, very much on the ground, the left-wing groups supporting candidates in Pasadena city elections and the Pasadena ISD. So we can use your help. You've been seeing the newsletters, the notices we've been sending. Tomorrow is the end of early voting. The election is this Saturday. We can make a big difference. We can come here, you have phone bank, you can phone from home. We're doing block walking, everything we can to get folks out, Republicans out to vote in these elections. We think it's making a difference. This shows the turnout so far in Pasadena, again, based on our that scoring of the voters, that it's 56% Republican and 34% Democrat. But there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing in some of these elections. So we don't know who people are voting for. And it's important. This is why we need help. This is why we're it's really important. It is important that we don't let the left take over Pasadena. They very much want to do so, both there and, of all places, Humboldt ISD. Next page. This is I guess a Facebook post from Indivisible. You've heard these people that suffer from Trump derangement syndrome in the indivisible groups nationally, and they've engaged in all places, Humboldt ISD, along with AFL-CIO and other groups, to try to take over the Humboldt ISD school district. I know the Kingwood Tea Party is very engaged. We're very, very, very much engaged trying to turn out our voters up there as well. We think it'll make a difference. Again, the turnout so far indicates 71% Republican, 22% Democrat. But these are such low turnout elections, it wouldn't make a difference, be hard to make a difference in that. So the Democrats pushed out a last push. It could hurt us in both of these elections. It's important that we get our voters to turn out because of the small numbers. And then lastly, to see the things they're doing, the AFL-CIO, as I mentioned, is actively engaged in the Humboldt ISD election through the American Federation of Teachers. They have their candidates that they're pushing, very much so that they want to take over Humboldt ISD. And this excerpt of an email here is from March from the Democrat Party, Harris County Democrat Party. We get their emails. They get ours, believe me. There's no secrets here. But what's interesting was the groups that they were actually out actively working with. Some of them are underlined in red. The Party for Socialism and Liberation, the International Socialist Organization, the Houston Socialist Movement, and my favorite, the Houston Communist Party. These are actively working with the Harris County Democrat Party. So this is what we're up against here and why we need to engage with them, particularly on the east side of the county. We have a lot of opportunity, I think, with Donald Trump bringing a lot of new voters into the Republican Party, including some of the ones precinct chairs you're going to hear about tonight, some new precinct chairs. It's important to actively engage with them and get them involved, and so we can win these elections in the east, particularly over on the east side of the county. Next screen, we now have a new political action calendar on the website. It summarizes things that are happening right away. If you want to go, other than just finding meetings and other things going on, you want to find out where you can go engage in an election, check the political action calendar. It's all summarized there with information where to go, how to get involved. And again, the picture here shows over here, as has been in the newsletter, when and where we're block walking, doing get out the vote, calling voters. We even list the candidates with Republican voting history. Some of them have answered questionnaires. We've got that information available on the website as well to help voters find out who they are. So we haven't been able to pick a side among them yet. We'll hope in the runoff, if we're lucky and there are 2 Republicans in the runoff, then we'll probably let them fight it out. But given what the left is doing, it's likely going to be at least a Democrat in the runoff. We're hoping a Republican will. So we can make a big difference. But final screen. So what we're doing here is, again, overview, a strategic review, everything we're doing, the party's doing now. We're going to get this done by this summer, put more things into, a lot of that into effect over the coming cycle. We're engaging significantly in the 2017 nonpartisan elections. There are going to be elections in the fall. City of Houston, we don't know yet what's going to be on the ballot, but there will be ballot issues, if not candidates, on the ballot in Houston in the fall. Again, opportunity to turn Republicans out in those elections. So working to get our Republican voters home on Republican issues and getting a lot of new voters involved and new activists involved with the Republican Party as well, which I think Donald Trump has helped give us a lot of opportunity there. And we've already begun the 2018 campaign. We were over, Ben McFall and I went over to Austin right after Thanksgiving and met with the governor's staff. We've been working with them on the ground. Y'all have seen the results of some of this, the working with the Training Development Committee, the voluntary certification program, and precinct certification program, which and part of that is the governor's training, particularly for new folks. The Abbott University tied in with the training that the Training Development Committee does and training we do here, all of which is critical. So when people want to get involved, we want to show how they can make a difference right away. And we'll be working with the Abbott campaign, which is going to be huge. Huge. And they're going to have a very large staff and a lot of money and be in Harris County in a very big way. They'll be hiring right after the legislative session's over. So we can make a big difference. Any questions about any of that? Good. Yes, Nancy.
Abbott University is having classes, bringing in volunteers. What are they doing with them since they won't share it in the names of the precincts of the precinct chair?
I'm not sure that's true, but Ben McFall could probably respond to that better. I think we are sharing information with them.
I attended one of the Abbott universities right here. There were a lot of volunteers, people who had never been active in politics, and Trump brought them in. They were registered by their zip codes, not by the precincts. I asked if they would get the precinct numbers and notify the precinct chairman of all these people who want to volunteer and work. They're not doing it. So I want to know, how can the precinct chairman find out who these people are, put them to work, and keep them involved?
I think Ben can answer your question. We've been working on that from the very beginning.
Hey, Nathan, Nancy Scott just made some work for you, so I'm going to need you. Yeah, we'll get it to you, Nancy. We have that information. The Abbott campaign may not have distributed it, but Nathan is tracking all the information. He can get it out to you. We'll get it to you.
We have all that information available. That's the thing we've been working with them, since the beginning, that they're going to be here in Harris County, and we're going to be working together, and we've been doing that, and we share information, share names. So if they have leads and names in your precinct, we want you to have that and be able to engage those folks, the new folks, and the folks they recruit into everything you're doing in the precinct. Good question. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you all very much. There's a lot going on, but now we have committee reports. I believe we have a total of 6 committees tonight with some information for you, and the first will be the Vacancy Committee. I believe the chairman's not here tonight, so Vice Chair Rolando Garcia is going to do the Vacancy Committee report. And as he calls the name of our proposed new precinct chairs, I'll ask those candidates to come on up and stand along in this area over here alongside the stage. And hopefully we won't trip the wire.
As Paul said, our chairman, Ralph Fite, is not here. He's with his wife in Aruba. So I guess we can understand why he's not here. But I do want to thank Ralph and all of the committee members. The long list that you see before you is the result of a lot of work. We did meet 3 times since the last EC meeting. Those meetings lasted over 3 hours each, well past 10 p.m. So there were some very lengthy interviews and screening. But the report that you see before you, we feel very confident in each one. One, that these candidates share the fundamental values of the Republican Party. And 2, that they're willing to do the work of a precinct chair. As you look over the list, if you have any questions, I would encourage you to look at the summaries that are included in the packet. That's something we started doing in the last few EC meetings. I know many people had questions about why we recommended certain applicants. And if you look at the summaries, you'll see some background about each applicant and the reasoning for why the committee recommended them. So again, if you have any questions, please, about any particular applicant, please read the summary first. And I would also just make 2 key points about the 23 precinct chair candidates that are you see before you. One is that 8 of the 23 are under 30 years old. That's a pretty good thing, isn't it? The other thing is, one of the reasons Donald Trump won is his ability to attract people who had never been involved in the political process or who had previously been Democrats. That's why he won the Midwest, and that's why he was elected president. And we're seeing that now in precinct chair applications. We're getting what might be called the Trump activists. These are people who had not been politically engaged before, but Trump's message on the economy, on strong borders, on immigration resonated with them, and they want to get active in the party, and I think it's wonderful that we're bringing the new Trump voters into the party. And so those are 2, I thought, very promising developments that we see in the report that you see before you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call up the 23 applicants. As I call out your name, please gather in front of the American flag there. Christina Sykat, Donna Lavoie, Nolan Schultz, Matthew Skaggs, Roman Gowell, Deanne LaRue, Seth Riley, Bennett Radin, Mary Miranda, Christy Bridges, Lawrence McAfee, Sunny Katua, Nancy First, Patricia Rickelson, Landon Keating, Josh Garcia, Corey Liu, Marianne Martinez, Leo Cosadinos, Jason Murphy, Harry Woodstrom, and Christopher Ogwegba. And as they all make their way over here, oh, and Marlon Williford. And as they all make their way to the front, I also want to recognize the members of the Vacancy Committee, the people who put in those long hours at the late night meetings. For SD6, Brian Vacris. For SD7, Melissa Roll and Ralph Feit. For SD8, Greg Ball. For SD11, Mike Robertson. For SD13, Beth Aiken. For SD15, John Taylor. For SD17, Ann Lee and Bob Sumichuk. And for SD4, Marcy Fessler. Please give them all a hand. And Vlad Davidia is our at-large member. I'm sorry, Vlad. Yes, Vlad is our at-large member. And so... So, with that out of the way, I will now move that the Executive Committee approve the vacancy report.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Vlad Davidic, Precinct 353.
Yes.
I move to amend the report to include George Brian Vacris, who is relocating from Precinct 72 to Precinct 885.
Okay. And Brian, go ahead. And just for background, many of you already know Brian. He was a longtime precinct chair in SD6, served on the Candidates Committee, Engagement Committee, and recently the Vacancy Committee, but he recently moved into a vacant precinct. So we voted at our last meeting to recommend him to fill his new vacant precinct. For some reason, he was not listed in the meeting call, but we would like to include him in this report. Is there a second? Oh, okay. All in favor of adding?
Okay, so it's been moved. This slate of folks has been proposed by the committee and moved for approval. There's now been a motion made and seconded to add Brian Backrus to the group, since I think he moved this week, which is why he wasn't in the call, because when the call went out, he was still in his other precinct. Is there any discussion on that motion to add Brian Backrus to this group? Hearing none, I'll put the vote to you. All those in favor of adding Brian Backrus to this group of fine precinct chair applicants, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Aye. That was Alice Reckwick, by the way, Brian, just so you know. Okay, now we have 24 applicants for a precinct chair. Is there any discussion about these the applicants for these to be approved for this, that the committee's asked you to be approved? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll give you the question. All those in favor of approving these precinct chairs, these applicants for precinct chair immediately, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Congratulations. We're going to administer the oath of office to all of them, as we have none other than Judge Mike Landrum, who's somewhere here. Judge, you here? There he comes. He's in the spot. And he will administer the oath of office to these new precinct chairs.
Thank you. Will each of you raise your right hands, please, and repeat after me as I read the oath. The first words after the word "I" will be your name, and then repeat the oath with me. Are you ready? I, repeat your name, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Republican Precinct Chair of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of you. You can now take a seat among the precinct chairs by Senate District 7. Please, the chairs indicate where they go. 7's over there. 17 back. SD4 is up here. SD13 is over here. Is SD15 over to my left? Who did I miss? Where's SD11? Back there.
Emmett?
Okay, moving on with committee reports. Thank you all for that approval, and welcome to the new precinct chairs. Look forward to working with all of you. It's going to be exciting next cycle. The next committee that will give its report will be the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee chair is Carl Jarvis. And then candidates will be after the Rules Committee chair. Carl can lay this out. You have a proposed bylaws amendment that was in the meeting call that is also in your packet. And he's going to address that on behalf of the Rules Committee. Carl?
All right, thank you. Okay, so the chairman gave a little bit of an introduction to this topic with his report on some of the activities around the county and the Pasadena election that's going on right now. And the purpose of this bylaws amendment is really to allow the advisory board to take action on endorsements during a time period when the executive committee is not able to meet. So it's up on the screen there, and essentially what we're doing, it's also in your packets, and essentially what we're doing is we're amending the current Article 9, Section 2, Executive Committee as final authority, and we're adding a subsection 8 to that, which reads, between Executive Committee meetings, the Advisory Board may, by a 2/3 vote at an Advisory Board meeting, endorse a candidate in a nonpartisan election. Any such endorsement must not conflict with any position of the Executive Committee and may be overturned by a majority vote of the Executive Committee. The testimony that we heard was very much along the lines of some of the things that the chairman presented, with a lot of Democrat groups active around the county. And this is really a way for the Harris County Republican Party to be able to take official action at a time when the Executive Committee would be unable to meet in a timely fashion. So that's really the intent. I guess, would it be appropriate to open it up if anybody has any questions, or what's that? Move for adoption? Okay. Okay. So with that, I'd like to move to adopt the bylaws amendment as reported by the Rules Committee, which is in everyone's packet.
Thank you. Now we can have a discussion about this proposed bylaws amendment. Like any other resolution, those of you who are new, we have floor mics or microphones that get brought to you whenever you address an issue. Of course, we are all civil here. Address your remarks to the chair, and before you begin your remarks, make sure the secretary here's your name and your precinct number, so we get it in the minutes. So, and the other thing is, this vote to amend the bylaws requires a 2/3 vote of the meeting tonight. So with that, we're open for debate on this amendment. Initially, someone speaking in favor of it. Mr. Chair, 1 minute maximum, 1 minute per speaker, and 3 per side, if we had go there.
Mr. Chair, Virgil Cruz, Precinct 578. I have a non-substantive, I can't speak, substantive amendment to the proposal.
What is your proposal?
To strike A period, because there's no B.
You went to Rice, right, Virgil?
And I'll speak to my motion, but I don't think I need to.
Is there a second to strike the letter A? Uh-oh. You have a second. You want to speak to your motion?
There's no B.
Is anyone opposed to this striking the letter A? Seeing none, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favor of the amendment to strike the letter A in the proposed bylaws amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Congratulations, Virgil. The letter A is stricken. We need to work through the alphabet. All right. Did anyone speak in favor of the amendment?
I call a question.
I'll give a chance to anybody who wants to speak in favor of it.
I know we had discussed this at the advisory board meeting, and I have no problem with it, but I have a question. What if, such as now, this passes? Now, the runoff elections are coming up close. If, say, the Humble ISD, we have a Democrat and a Republican in a runoff, and the advisory board wants to back the Republican, we can't get everyone's okay because the runoff election is going to be before we meet again as a body.
That's the purpose of the amendment. The purpose of the bylaws amendment is to tell the advisory board to meet, which is, 10 of us, the ST chairs, me, a couple of party officers, and by 2/3 vote of that advisory board.
Okay, the advisory board, not everybody.
Yes, this allows the advisory board between executive committee meetings to make an endorsement, subject to Subject to it can't conflict with the executive committee standings. It can, of course, be overturned by majority vote of the executive committee. Speaking for or against?
No, I have a point of information.
My point of information had to deal with the in-between, the way this is worded. I wanted to make sure the body understood that the advisory committee has the right to change the endorsement, because the way that we have the executive meetings for the rest of the year, we have one on 9/11, and we have one scheduled for November 13th. November 13th is after the November election. So if something changes, the advisory committee, which are SD chairs, which are elected by this body, would be able to change endorsements, correct, Paul? I know, it's nonpartisan. So it's nonpartisan, it has nothing to do with, like, constitutional. So I'm just trying to ascertain its point of information request.
So the advisory board cannot change any position of the executive committee. In other words, the executive committee passes an endorsement or some kind of resolution. The advisory board can then not come in and issue a position contrary to that. The second sentence covers that situation. So if the executive committee affirmatively states a position in a resolution or an endorsement, then the advisory board cannot overturn that.
But the advisory board can do an endorsement of a candidate in between executive sessions, yes?
That's correct.
Okay.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman, Felicia Cravens, Precinct 509. Can maybe the committee chair explain under which conditions there might be an opportunity for a majority of the executive committee to overturn an advisory board endorsement?
So that was put in as a safeguard, but the reality is the way that this is set up, I mean, it's envisioned that it would be prevented ahead of time rather than after the fact.
So they're pretty words, but they don't mean really anything? I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Another example would be right now. Let's suppose the advisory board had picked somebody in one of the MLSC elections before now, and we came here tonight and the executive committee wanted to overrule that. It would have been overruled. Sure, it says because any such endorsement may be overturned by majority vote of the executive committee.
I'm just trying to figure out practically how that would happen in your, for instance, because we have a meeting before the election at present, right now. So I'm kind of trying to wrap, I don't know that the language is superfluous, that there might be an out there, but I just kind of wanted to draw attention to that. Is that, in fact, the only instance in which it would ever be used is if the advisory board made an endorsement before one of the executive committee meetings, which was also before an election.
That's what I'm talking about right now, the MLIST, because that election's already underway. We have not been able to engage in that election in any particular way, but if we had and endorsed, then we could come here tonight if somebody said, oh no, you crazy advisory board, you endorsed the Democrats, so then you could overrule it. So that would take an effect now. So it is a safeguard and a stopgap along with the 2/3 requirement that the advisory board act.
Sean Cheben, Precinct 360. I've got a question and then an amendment. My question is, the language in here seems to preclude the advisory board weighing in on a ballot measure rather than just a candidate. So my amendment would be, well, first my question would be, was that done on purpose or was that an oversight?
Yes, it is specifically targeted, allows endorsement only of a candidate, not of a measure.
Okay, was that discussed though, and the committee felt that it would be inappropriate to give the advisory board that ability?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or debate on the proposed bylaws amendment? All right, I'll give you the question to you. All those in favor of adopting the proposed bylaws as amended with the letter A deleted, as set out in the meeting call and in your packet, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. I think the ayes have it. The amendment passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carl. Anything else for the Rules Committee? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Carl. And thanks to the Rules Committee for all the hard work they did on this. Next will be the Candidates Committee report by Candidates Committee Chair Sean Cheben.
Thank you, Tammy. My name is Sean Cheben. I'm the chairman of the Candidates Committee. Before I go into my very brief report, I want to quickly recognize the members of the Candidates Committee. If y'all please stand up so everyone can see who you are. All right, so I won't cover everything that's in the packet. Y'all can read as well as I can read it to you. But I do want to draw your attention to the last page of your packet, conveniently placed on the last page so you can pick it out, fill it out, and if you happen to have your checkbook on you, write a check for $85 and give it to, let's see, is Lydia in here anywhere? Okay, I don't see her, but y'all know who Lydia is. And I say that because we have a candidate training school with the Leadership Institute scheduled for August the 19th. If you are thinking about being a candidate, if you've already decided to be a candidate and need a refresher, or if you want to work on a campaign either as a professional or a volunteer, I highly recommend that y'all attend this training on August the 19th, Saturday morning. Leadership Institute is fantastic. We've done a couple of events with them in the past, and they've all been great. So if you are so inclined, I'd encourage you, tear this off, fill it out, write a check, and either give it to Lydia or myself before you leave here tonight. That's all I've got. Again, August 19th, Leadership Institute Candidate Training School. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Those are excellent schools. Leadership Institute is a very strong conservative organization that trains the young people and candidates around the country, so it's very worth your while if you or somebody you know wants to run for office. Next committee to report will be the Training and Development Committee. Charlotte Lampe, who just flew in from Cabo, is here to join us just in time.
Yes, I was drinking Bloody Marys this morning. Okay. But I am happy to be here. Hello, my name is Charlotte Lampe, and I am the Chair of Training and Development. And for all the new precinct chairs that are out there, we're really glad to see you. Yay. All right. What we're going to be doing, if you have your handout right in here, is we're going to have an HCRP training program that has definite tasks on there for you to be able to be really qualified in what you're going to do in your precinct. How many people have gone to a training session? All right, there we go. We're really trying to get our numbers up because I tell you what, when the Democrats, when you see Indivisible and when you're going out to all these things, they really are organized. And how are we going to beat them? Because we are going to meet the technical challenges that are in front of us. And for a lot of us that have been in the political process here as a precinct chair, we've got some new tools that are really going to be on the precipice of making us ultra effective. See, I was drinking all those margaritas. Well, the reason that we're going through this step-by-step program is to be able to really have a matrix in there to be able to check that you are going to be proficient and that we are making the best use of the tools at hand. We have 12 members on our committee. The Training and Development Committee are here for your success. There's going to be a multi-stage program to do that. We have Bob Hall in here somewhere. Yay, Bob Hall. Who is really here to do hands-on and ongoing training. So there's really no excuse not to be able to find those volunteers and to get out to do it. Now, what's the reason we want to really get ready now? It's because we've got 220 looming in the future, but we've got all these elections before. How many people have gone to a protest? How many people have gone out and done all this? I went to a protest to politely unwelcome Hillary Clinton last week or a couple of weeks ago. And there were probably 35 to 50 of us here. We got interviewed by 3 different stations that came out there. And then we went, oh, okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be on the news. There was not one mention. But then they had a little blip where they had 10 anti-Trump members that came out. And they got coverage. So here in our city, and I did call up Channel 2, which, you know, I'd really like you to put them on your speed dial, or any of the media that isn't accurately portraying the other polite side of the view that we are strong Republicans, we are strong women. There's no war on those. I haven't gotten that memo yet. But that we're going to go, and I'm really happy about that. So if you can really go out there and start really getting engaging now, and we're going to have a process to really check you out, to get just really support you, to verify that. And what we'd like to see is some certified precinct chairs out here leading the masses. Thank you so much for each and everything that you do. So glad you're here. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Rolando. And the training is definitely an essential part of what you're doing. These are folks who are precinct chairs, particularly the new and experienced and veteran precinct chairs. Please go to the training, and they have a lot of great programs. And this time, the certification, as she said, includes doing things, not just sitting and listening, but actually going out and putting some of what you've learned into practice. Now, the fifth, which is the second to last committee report, will be local government. Dan Comstock, chair of the local government committee, will give that committee's report.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening. Did you all dance around the maypoles before you came here? Or a little closer to the mic. I would like to start out with, I would like the members of the local government committee to stand up. Stand up and be seen. Stand up and be proud, because you have really done some good work. And thank you. I'd like to mention a couple of things. We had 62 elections, as I just learned again from Stan. And by the November election, we hope to be better at putting all the candidates into a very useful format for us to find and so forth. We've been working hard on that. We've been locating all the races and the various positions and so forth. So this has kind of been a background project that we've been working on for a while. Our goal is to be truly a service committee where we serve the precinct chairs and provide you information that can help you specifically in your area where you don't have to do quite as much research as you might have done before. Now, I want to move on to another interesting issue. We had a meeting. We had a meeting with the full 10 days in advance, more than that actually. And we dealt with something to which you assigned us to deal with. And that was the issue over the railway issue, or the high-speed railway, however you want to phrase it. And we came to a conclusion. We did deliberation, which means that we actually talked to each other. You know, and sometimes we didn't quite see the same thing together. But I can tell you this, that at the end of this meeting, which is the sum result of after numerous occasions in which we brought people from both sides to learn from them, a lot of reading, a lot of research, we finally formed a conclusion in the form of a resolution which we wish this body to vote on at some point. And I want to mention how that voting went. That voting was in a present quorum of, we had 9 out of a potential 13. 7 voted aye. So it was a strong majority for us. And then since then, we've gotten a number of other precinct chairs who have signed on. And I hope by spirit, by tonight, all of you will sign on. But I want to give you some idea about it, and that is this. We didn't set out with an axe to grind. We didn't set out with a mission, anything other than to stand up for our Republican principles, trying to be what is essentially a good American, believing in our Constitution, taking it very seriously in areas such as eminent domain, which has been under attack, protection from it by things like the Kelo, Connecticut decision. We are all for, as good Republicans, and if you're a good Republican, you're going to be a good American, aren't you? So we are for free enterprise. We are for landowner protection and taxpayer protection. We are for following the law as it is written. Those are the things that we stand for. And we stand for fiscal responsibility. We do not stand for bailouts. We stand for fiscal responsibility. We stand for limited government. We stand for non-interference generally, interfering with free enterprise, unless in those cases where free enterprise tramples on the rights of citizens, then we're going to be a champion fighting that issue. So I would like you to seriously consider this resolution. You will see it later. That is in the packet and has been circulated, and many of you have seen it by email. That means we have your email address. Okay. That's what that means. And we're going to have several people speaking, I'm sure, on both sides of the issue. But I wish you to know that in my mind, and by the way, in the mind of the people who just stood up, at least for the most part, that we did succeed in doing what we set out to do. We set out to do what you asked us to do. We studied the issue, and we came to at least what we believe was reasonable and fair, and at the same time lived up to our ideals. And I just don't know how we could be happier with that. We have a group that I think we have a solidarity in our local government committee that is wonderful to behold, actually. And I really thank you for that participation. And Mr. Chairman, do I have 30 more minutes? Okay. I just want to thank everyone here that's been patient with us, because I know you really wanted this 3 months ago. I just want to assure you that we didn't lag because we were not working on it. We truly were, and now we're proud of what we've done, and we hope you agree with us, and we'll see you soon. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thanks for all the work the local government committee has done this month. And as he mentioned, I believe the resolution that they proposed would come up later. And now for the pièce de résistance, the sixth committee and last committee report tonight, the Ballot Security Committee, Alan Vera. Give us a report.
Thank you so much. I'd like to first ask the members of Ballot Security Committee Special Ops to stand and wave your hands so we can all thank you for the hard work you do all year. Thank you. You've got a written report in your packets. I'll summarize a couple of things. Number one, even though the 2017 elections are nonpartisan, we're still helping out by providing election workers and judges to all the elections being run by the county clerk, doing our best to cooperate and fill those spots. Big announcement for us, we're making some very solid progress toward building, for the first time ever, a relational database of all election workers, going back, picking up everybody from 2012 forward. I want to thank Kathleen Wall and her family, who underwrote the entire cost of this database. Thank you, Kathleen. And I want to thank Kathleen Wall and Pam Joyce and Ben McFall for doing all the hard work on getting all the data set up. Thank you all. Great job. PSC has been very busy in the 85th legislature, both in the House and Senate. The resolution you all passed at our last meeting has been very helpful. You gave us some good guidelines, and we have been able to say you represent not just ballot security, but the entire executive committee on a number of key bills. It's been interesting. I would urge you not to underestimate the power of the executive committee of the Republican Party of the largest county in Texas. When you all speak, they listen in Austin, and your word carries some weight. We appreciate that. It's a weird session. It's a weird session. Last week, for the first time since I've been doing this in your behalf, working election laws, I got a call from 4 lobbying firms. 4 lobbyists wanting to sway an election law. That's never happened. The legislature's in kind of a mess. One of the lobbyists, the most prominent, said, we call this the lost session because we're not sure anything's going to pass. And that's true. The House and Senate are not trading bills. They're not passing stuff back and forth. Before I give you a couple of details and ask for your help, one key observation. On every election bill introduced by every Democrat in the House or Senate, when they lay the bill out, the first thing they do is they quote some federal district judge's findings against Texas. That's how they start every introduction. It's all worked together, it's all planned, and that's currently the strategy. Luckily, people from the county clerk's office and your ballot security committee are there to tell them, oh shit, sorry, excuse me. And we're able to usually sway the argument. We do need your help with some good bills that are moving very quickly. First of all, please write these down because I've got some homework for you. House Bill 2815, 2815 by Tom Oliverson is referred to as the Nursing Home Voting Bill. It could help prevent the single source of voting fraud that's the topic of the highest number of complaints to the Secretary of State's office every year after every election. HB 2815 has been passed out of the House Elections Committee. Senator Joan Huffman of Harris County has the twin bill in the Senate waiting. But despite reassurance to the contrary, the House bill is currently caught up in the shenanigans of the Calendars Committee. We're going to need your help. Secondly, House Bill 2139, 2139 by Mike Schofield. It brings organized election fraud under the state's racketeering laws, RICO, and makes it a felony to engage in any kind of ballot harvesting or other organized election fraud. The bill was also passed out of the House Committee on Elections and is also stuck in the Calendars Committee. We'll talk about that in a second. Two more real quickly. House Bill 3643 by Harris County Rep. Valerie Swanson increases the penalties for illegally assisting voters and particularly for voter ambush. Do you remember when I spoke to you back in 2014? There were groups waiting and lurking in the parking lots of polling places who would literally lock arms with voters, go in and announce themselves as the voter's assistant. That's now going to be a felony. We got to get that moved. Finally, House Bill 3435 by Valerie Swanson gives the Signature Verification Committee of the Ballot Board, which Paul appoints, more flexibility in disallowing mail ballots where the signatures on the application and on the carrier envelope clearly are not those of the voter. The current law does not allow them to do that. So when you get home tonight, unless you're so worn out by this meeting, we need you to call or email your personal state rep and your senator. Okay? You don't need to go and email everybody. Tell them you're a constituent and tell them you're with the Harris County Republican Party Executive Committee. Tell them we have 4 bills we need to pass quickly. House Bill 2815, 2139, 3643, 3435. Again, don't be shy about telling them that you're with the Executive Committee. 2815, 2139, 3463, 3463, 3435, bingo. All right, we'll send all afterward again. 3463, 3435. I was in Cabo, right, with Charlotte. Yeah, 3643. 3643, 3435. And we'll send it out. Finally, just on a personal note, I want to thank all of you for the prayers you've offered and the encouragement. My son Adam returned from Afghanistan last month safely. Thank you so much. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. What's that? The question is, who's going to prosecute these people? At this moment, if you remember the case that just occurred up in Fort Worth of the illegal alien who voted 4 times, that was actually triggered by the Attorney General. We've been meeting with the Attorney General's criminal investigation and prosecution staff almost every week up there. They're behind that bill. The calendar committee, without taking the entire night, is the personal tool and toy of Joe Strauss. He decides what gets voted on and what doesn't, and he appoints only his closest associates, mainly Democrats, to that position. And they can literally choke the life out of any bill. And? Yes, I know. She's our hope. She's our hope. That's correct. Ann's question is, I asked you to call your senators too. I've only given you House bill numbers. That's because there's no election bills moving in the Senate.
Help to call the senator?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we need is, we need your senator to be raising Cain on the Senate to get those bills over. They should be asking to have those House bills moved over to the Senate. So yes, thank you, Ann. Other questions? I just got an email tonight while we were sitting here, and the last 2 that had not gone to calendar just got voted out of committee. So yes, as of now, all 4 are to calendars. Both of Valerie Swanson's bills got voted out tonight. Will the Democrats pay attention to you? No. I will tell you this. The nursing home voting bill has complete bipartisan support. And that is amazing. Every Democrat in the committee voted for it and testified on behalf of that bill. 2 reasons. The real reason is that in the spring primaries of last year, 7 Democrat incumbents were nearly upset in the Rio Grande Valley by voting fraud from mail ballots from nursing homes. So there's no election fraud unless they almost get beat. And suddenly, election fraud is real. Number 2, and this is serious, in the bill, not only do we send judges to the nursing homes to take the person's vote in person, no more mail ballots, but if any senior citizen or disabled person in a nursing home forgot to send in their request for mail ballot, the judges can handle it with them right there on the spot. Get the application for mail ballot, give them the ballot, isolate them as if they were provisional, and when the ballots come back to the county clerk, they can approve the mail ballot application and approve the ballot. It's a good bill. And it really helps the senior citizens right now. Their votes are being stolen by the staffs of the nursing homes. Any more questions? I'll hang around afterward to answer more questions. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alan. Alan is committing to incredible work, but Alan Vera easily is he's a star at the legislature's over. They're almost every Monday, so we've managed to have him here tonight. So again, a round of applause for all the work that Alan Vera does. That concludes committee reports. There's a random entry in the agenda saying reports. Just ignore that. We're moving on to new business. The first item of new business is submission of chairman's appointments for approval under the bylaws. When the county chair, that's me, appoints people to committees is subject to executive committee approval, and I recognize David Riddle.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. David Riddle, Precinct 114. Mr. Chairman, appoints to be submitted for approval at this meeting. Candidates Committee, David Gratval. Engagement Committee, Shane Gilroy and Lawrence McGaffey. And for Rules Committee, our very own SD7, David Wilson.
Is there a second? Or a second from Julio Torres. Any discussion? All right, put it to you. All those in favor of approving these appointments say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Thank you. The ayes have it. Appreciate the approval. Controversial. Who was that? All right, I know our parliamentarian wants to get to see the Rockets game. So, Apparently we have an interim announcement from the Training and Development Committee. You need to say this now?
I just wanted to tell everybody, since we're talking about dates to remember, that the next Training and Development meeting will be on Saturday, June 3rd, here at the headquarters, and we'll have check-in at 9 a.m. and promptly start at 9:30, and we'll go promptly to 11:30. And for all of you new precinct chairs, that's how to find volunteers, what to do with your volunteers once you get them, and how to be effective in your precinct. So we hope to see you there. Sign up on RSVP on the website, and we'll look forward to seeing you there on behalf of the Training and Development Committee. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Charlotte, for the encore presentation. Now we're going to move on to other new business resolutions. Chair recognizes Kelly Horsley.
I have a resolution.
Kelly
Horsley,
name, precinct number, please.
Precinct 877. The resolution is presented in your packet. Should be at the very back of the packet if you'll flip to the back. It's titled New Taxpayer and Landowner Protection Resolution.
Let me interrupt 1 second. For those of you who are new to this, under our standing rules, when you introduce a resolution, all you actually read out to save us time are the the be it resolved clauses at the end of the resolution. And the rest of the whereas clauses are there for those you want to read, and we'll show them up on the screen. So I'm sorry, go ahead. Proceed.
Okay, so I just read the last be it resolved, or
all the be it resolved.
All of the be it resolved. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, therefore be it resolved that in keeping with the property rights plank of the Republican Party of Texas 2016 platform, which states that the condemner should be required to petition a court of jurisdiction to show public necessity before threatening to take or use or attempting to take or use any property, the Harris County Republican Party opposes the use or threat of the use of eminent domain to seize land for any desired right-of-way, even when public necessity is self-evident, until such court of jurisdiction has ruled in favor of the condemner, and once public necessity, not to be confused with public purpose, such as improving a tax base for a state or local entity, has been recognized by a court of jurisdiction, that the state of Texas, through its legislature, make it easier for a transportation company to vary its route to minimize the use of eminent domain, and in keeping with principle number 9 of the Republican Party of Texas 2016 platform, which reiterates our belief in a free enterprise society unencumbered by government interference or subsidies, the Harris County Republican Party opposes the appropriation of any taxpayer funds toward any private Texas business in any capacity, and supports legislative efforts to ensure that such an appropriation cannot occur, and this resolution shall be certified by the chairman of the Harris County Republican Party and physically or electronically mailed to all Republican state representatives, state senators, and county officials within 5 days of passage.
Okay, seconded by James Raines. Okay, on our rules of order, we have up to 3 people speaking on every resolution, alternating for and against, 1 minute per speaker. You want to speak to the resolution?
I do. Excuse me. We as Republicans support free markets and free enterprise. We don't believe in picking winners and losers. This resolution, I believe, balances our party's commitment to supporting individuals' property rights with a private business right to operate with minimal government interference.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to find out.
Name and precinct.
Dennis Griffith, Precinct 116. This is a very broadly written resolution. I'd like to find out if it also can apply to cross-country oil and gas pipelines, which have the right of eminent domain.
I think you're speaking to the substance of the motion.
Is that,
I don't think I can answer that. What?
Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do.
Well, it talks about seizing eminent domain to seize land for any desired right of way.
So that
I think
so
it would apply
to. I just wanted to make sure clarification.
Pipelines, power lines.
Power lines, pipelines, everything. Thank you.
All right. Opportunity now for someone to speak against the resolution. Chair recognizes Scott Bowen.
Not speaking against, I'd like to make an amendment, Mr. Chairman. And
okay.
I have submitted
I've submitted text of the amendment. I'd actually like to split it in two because I think they're two separate issues and should be considered independently. The first I would like to present, if you scroll down to Resolve 1 and 2. So the amendment is on Resolve 1, it changes such court of jurisdiction has to all courts before which the condemner appears have, and then it strikes Resolve Clause 2. And I can speak to this in a second.
Okay, so it's what's shown on the screen?
Correct.
So to be clear, under the bullet point, the first bullet point, in keeping, you would make those changes about the courts, and then you would strike entirely the second bullet point beginning with once public necessity.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second? Beth Aiken, second. Want to speak to your amendment?
Sure. Overall, I mean, this resolution has been in committee for a while. I like the language that is presented. I do want to make sure we clear up some loopholes and make sure this doesn't accidentally increase the amount of eminent domain that can happen and give companies more authority to conduct eminent domain. And so the first clause would make sure that we don't support any eminent domain action unless every court that they're in front of, including different counties, different jurisdictions, has given approval to the project. And then I'm afraid the second clause allows for, after eminent domain is approved, for changing of the project. So people who might not have opposed it before might suddenly find out that a changed route is covering their land, and they lost their opportunity to fight back. So I want to make sure we don't open it up to additional avenues for abuse, and that's what this amendment will achieve.
Okay, is anyone to speak against the amendment as shown on the screen? James?
Okay, so I would like to actually speak against just the motion striking the second portion because that's a pretty important. It's a key factor in the resolve section because one of the issues that we sort of learned about as a committee that Texas Central Rail has to deal with is that they have to buy land or acquire it or use eminent domain along a certain route that is drawn basically by the state. And so what this paragraph does is it says that we want the state to have some flexibility when determining the route so that they can just go around the landowners that don't want to sell.
Is there someone else to speak in favor of this amendment as shown on the screen? Beth Aiken, can you bring your mic up here? James, what's your precinct number again? James Raines?
38.
Beth Aiken, precinct 297. I like the idea of removing the entire second bullet for the very reason that I think that the word, even begin with once, opens up a whole new avenue that we really, a door that we do not want to have open in this otherwise excellently drafted resolution.
Okay. Anyone to speak against the amendment as shown on the screen? George?
George May, Precinct 612. I just want to point out, regardless of how you decide to, whether or not you're for this particular allowance of eminent domain or not, this is in fact a killer amendment. I'm not sure the author intended it to be, but it is. I'm an attorney. I've done eminent domain actions. I've defended landowners against them. I've been a special commissioner. If all courts across the entire state of Texas and all 254 counties have to vote before one condemnation can take place, there will never be a project ever approved. It simply is not feasible to do so. And there was a gentleman here to my left, a very handsome gentleman, although he has too much hair, who said good.
10 seconds.
Who said good. If you're against eminent domain for any purpose, any time, vote for this amendment. If you want Texas to prosper, vote against it.
Okay, time. Anyone else speak in favor of the amendment as shown on the screen? Name and precinct number.
Daniel Caldwell, Precinct 85.
I'd also like to ask that you scroll down so that I can see what the next amendment that he proposed was. But
I'm sorry, what? That's something, what we're considering right now is what's shown up here.
Right. On the principle of keep it short and simple, this definitely shortens it, and so I have no objection on that. I totally agree, as well as I see that it would have the effect of taking eminent domain, which is basically a declaration of war against the property owner, and making it harder to declare war against individual property owners at their homesteads.
Okay, that's 3-4. Is there another speaker against the amendment as shown on the screen? There's room for one more speaker to speak against the amendment. Yes, sir. Glenn?
Point of information. Glenn Jenkinson, Precinct 92. The yellow highlight there, if I understand it right, it applies only to courts before which the condemnation appears, not every court in the state of Texas. Is that correct?
It says, read what it says.
All right,
Let me interpret it for you. You pay me, I will interpret for you. Any other, someone to speak against the amendment as shown on the screen? All right, well, let's vote on the amendment then. It's the amendment to make the changes shown on the screen to modify the first bullet, striking some words and adding the highlighted words, and then striking the second bullet entirely. All those in favor of the amendment to the resolution say aye. Aye. All those opposed to the amendment say nay. Nay. I think the nays have it. Now we'll go back to the resolution itself. According to my tally, subject to correction, we had one person actually speak for the amendment, the resolution. So we're now open to one person to speak against the main resolution.
Friendly amendment?
You want to propose another amendment?
Friendly amendment. Glenn Jenkinson, 92. On the second to the last, therefore, in the last sentence, I would like to have the word Texas stricken because that opens the door for non-Texas businesses to get a benefit.
I'm sorry, where are you? Which?
Second to the last resolution, right there.
Right there.
Bullet. You got it highlighted.
Okay, so you would strike the word Texas from the last phrase in the third bullet, as shown on the screen. There a second? Second by Mary Jane Smith. I'd like to speak to your amendment, Mr. Jenkinson.
Well, it's a loophole for if a non-Texas business tries to get this benefit, the way the resolution is written now, it only excludes Texas businesses from getting the resolution. It doesn't prevent non-Texas businesses from getting the, I said resolution, I meant appropriation. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone to speak against the proposed amendment to strike the word Texas in that third bullet? Anyone, in other words, to speak in favor of keeping the word Texas? So, you know, I'll put the question to you. All those in favor of the amendment to strike the word Texas, where shown highlighted in the third bullet, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. That word Texas is stricken. It's not something I like to say. All right, we're now back to the resolution as amended with the word Texas taken out of that third bullet. We are still up for someone to speak against the resolution as a whole. Anyone to speak against the resolution? I'm sorry. Point of order or point of order? Okay. No point of order.
In
name and precinct again, Daniel.
85, Daniel Caldwell. So, in the second bullet beginning once public necessity, instead of putting once, strike once and change that to in case, instead of the word that at the end of the second line, strike the word that and change it to we encourage. And between the word legislature and make, and insert the word to.
Let's see if we can do that on the screen.
So up on the screen,
it would say, instead of once, it would say in case.
In case public necessity.
Okay, wait, we're going to do it piece by piece so we can do it on, can we do it on the screen? Okay, we show, change the word once to in case. You have a lot of grammar teachers here correcting you, Daniels, let you know. In case, we'll strike the word once, and then you said you changed the word that after jurisdiction to mean we encourage.
We encourage.
We encourage.
Because.
And then after the word legislature, you put the word to.
Yes. So that ignoring the parenthetical, it reads that in case public necessity has been recognized by a court of jurisdiction, we encourage the state of Texas, through its legislature, to make it easier for a transportation company to vary its route to minimize the use of eminent domain.
Okay, is there a second? I heard one from Kelly Horslick. Okay. Want to speak to your amendment?
The first change, once, takes into account that it is speculative that a court may or will find such public necessity. So it turns it into a conditional rather than a self-fulfilling prophecy type statement. The second change, inserting we encourage, takes into account that we are the Harris County Republican Party and we are not the state of Texas legislature. So we have to properly identify the subject that is acting, us, in our resolution. The third change, insertion of the word to, makes the grammar correction identifying the subject consistent.
Okay, thank you. Perfect timing, exactly 1 minute. Anyone else, anyone to speak against this amendment as shown on the screen, amendment to the second bullet? Yes, sir.
Cody Same, Precinct 380. I didn't really catch the significance until he was explaining the word once. He said to get rid of it because it's not a condition, but it is a condition that's set in the first bullet point. Once the conditions of the first bullet point have been met, namely that the court has ruled in favor of the condemner, then it's done. So yes, absolutely, it is a condition and it should be written as such. Thank you.
You were speaking against the amendment. Okay. Anyone to speak in favor of Mr. Caldwell's amendment? Anyone to speak in favor of the amendment? Seeing none, I'll put it to you as a question. The question is whether to, if you vote yes, you would vote to amend the second bullet point, which is shown, change the word once into in case, and the other changes in the resolution. So all those in favor of making these changes to the second bullet point say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. The nays have it. The amendment fails. Okay, we're trying to get back to the resolution again, as amended with the word Texas. The only amendment so far, I think.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I have one more amendment. It's on the same sheet I sent in before.
What is your amendment, Mr. Bowen?
It is to advocate for legislation intended to enforce this resolution. So that the Harris County Republican Party supports the passage of legislation intended to enshrine these principles into law, including HB 2161 and SB 979, which clarify the use of eminent domain for high-speed rail projects, and HB 2172 and SB 977, which restrict the use of state money for privately funded rail projects and any equivalent legislation thereof.
Do you have those bills with you?
I don't have them with me, but...
Is there a second for this amendment? Second, Rolando Garcia. Lowen, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I mean, one advantage we have of having taken 6 months in committee to do this is that we now are in the middle of a legislative session and we have bills that are moving through the legislature that can actually put a little bit of teeth into this resolution. So we're intending to send this to our legislators. We have bills that would enforce this resolution, and so we should pass them, and we should encourage our legislators to pass them.
Okay, someone to speak against this
This
amendment, Mary Jane Smith.
Mary Jane Smith, precinct 232. I don't know what those bills are. Does anyone know what those bills are? No. Why in the world? Come on, let's vote against this. We don't know what this is. This committee has studied this to death. It's time to move on. Kill this amendment.
Someone to speak. Someone to speak. Beverly,
yes.
Proposal to add this paragraph.
Rolando Garcia, Precinct 33. I speak in favor of Scott's amendment. This is legislation that would protect property rights regarding eminent domain and also regarding public funding of this project. The reason that we're proposing amendments to this resolution, do you know who drafted this resolution? I'll give you a hint. You all got the email today on this resolution. Hover over the metadata on the Word document and look who the author is. It's Jonathan McClellan, who is a paid lobbyist by Texas Central. The committee was given a draft by Texas Central lobbyists, and that is what we ended up with. It would be an embarrassment to the party if we end up passing this resolution, which is exactly what Texas Central wanted. It will basically be the HCRP endorsing their project after they bought a table at the Lincoln Reagan dinner, after they've thrown around lots of money. This project is exactly, this resolution is exactly what Texas Central wanted. And this is why we're adding amendments to protect property rights.
Time. Thank you. Someone to speak against this proposed bullet?
Can we call the question?
I really want to let this go forward, Jim. Kelly, somebody just spoke in favor of this, so Kelly Horsley's been hovering me to speak against it.
Yeah, I'd like to speak against this amendment. First of all, I'd like to rebut what he's saying because we did not ask for help from anybody on the high-speed rail project. That is absolute lies. They did not write this resolution for us. I mean, you're sitting there shaking your head. That's a total lie. So please vote against this amendment and don't even listen to what he was saying because none of that is true. None of it is true. I have not accepted money from anybody, nor has anybody on the committee. Thank you.
I'd like to call the question.
Okay. Question's been called. Okay, question's been called. That's within debate. There's no debate on this, on the debate on end debate. So all those in favor of ending debate. This is on this amendment, by the way, be clear. We haven't ended debate on the overall resolution, but the debate on this, adding this bullet point is what we're talking about. So those in favor of ending the debate on the bullet point amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. I think the ayes have it. Debate's ended. All right, I'll now put it to you for a vote. You'll be voting on whether or not the yellow highlighted bullet gets added. If you vote in favor, it would add it to the resolution as proposed. So all those in favor of this amendment, which would add that highlighted bullet point, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. I think the nays have it. The amendment fails. We will now try to get back to the main resolution with the word Texas out of it. We originally had the opportunity for someone to speak against the resolution overall. Someone's spoken for it. I think it's fair to let someone speak against it, but Mary Jane Smith. You've already speak. I think we already had a speaker for the main resolution.
I'll speak
Okay, we'll come back.
I'll speak against it.
Yes, sir.
My name's Bill Fagan. I'm a precinct chair, 421. I used to be on the local government committee. Okay, before I got into politics, I was in project management for 40 years. I've been in a major capital project for over 30. These are large capital projects. I can tell you right now, this is a vote on whether or not to have high-speed rail, because nobody is going to risk this kind of capital without eminent domain, period. It's just not going to happen. So that's the long and the short of it. We just distill all that into one thing. You're voting for or against high-speed rail.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mary Jane Smith. You wanted to speak for, favor of the resolution?
I do. Mary Jane, 232. This is the third executive committee meeting. We have been discussing this. We need to put this to rest. Cuban Missile Crisis didn't last this long. It's time to vote and support this and move on. We have so many issues in this world, in this country, in Texas, that need addressing. So I urge the passage of this resolution.
Okay. Anyone else? Matthew.
Matthew Cowan, Precinct 311. I understand the point and why people are wanting to put this forward and to vote against rail. It's pretty much what it is. However, what you have here and the way it's worded also can be aptly applied to any other infrastructure project such as electricity, gas lines, rail, other freight rail, or any other project of that sort. So if you want to vote against it, be specific. Otherwise, if you allow a vague resolution to go forward, this is going to get the message out to everyone else that Harris County is not going to be friendly to these other businesses which this state, Texas, depends upon. We depend on the petroleum, the petrochemical industry, the port industry, and everything that gets to it is via rail or via pipeline. So if you want to slow up Texas and make Texas' economy go down, provide uncertainty, regulatory uncertainty for these businesses. Thank you.
You were speaking before or again? Okay. James Raines.
I'd like to call a question, please.
Second. Fred Blanton. Point of order. Virgil.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to be the bad guy tonight, but I do have a point of order with respect to refraining from attacking a member's motives. In the debate, there was I believe that one of the members, with all due respect to everybody in the room, uttered the word lie and or liar, and that's something that we should refrain from doing for Roberts. Page 392.
All right. Somebody, Fred Blanton, seconded the motion to end debate. Call the question. So this is, if we vote in favor, is this really order?
Mr. Chairman, your assistants on the floor declined to take amendments, motions to amend, which take precedent over discussion, and therefore it is out of order to have continued the discussion and to the point where the only motions that were accepted were calls of the question. There were motions that were brought to the attention of your assistant on the floor that were rejected by the assistant on the floor and prevented from being presented. Therefore, I'm raising that point of order. That all of
I've heard 4 amendments, and I don't think anybody was blocking anything.
Will you deny?
Okay, let's look.
I told you repeatedly. Motion to amend.
Please stop. Address your remarks to the chair. Let's proceed. The vote in front of you now is to whether or not we end debate on the resolution. So all those in favor of ending debate on the resolution as it has been slightly amended, say aye. Aye. As opposed, say nay. No. Ayes have it. We're now going to finally vote on the resolution. The resolution as proposed, I believe the only amendment that's happened is to delete the word Texas from that point in the third bullet. So, that resolution is now before you. If you vote in favor, you vote to adopt the resolution as amended. All those in favor of adopting the resolution as amended say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. All right, let's do a standing vote first. Just please stand. All those in favor, yeah, and precinct chairs, please take your seats. All right, precinct chairs only, have a seat in your senatorial district area. And have a seat. Maybe voting coming in one. Okay, we'll now take a vote. Again, we're voting on the resolution as amended with the word Texas taken out of the third bullet. All those in favor of the resolution, please stand. Okay, all those, be seated. And all those opposing the resolution, please stand. I think it's too close to call. Please have a seat. They ask the senatorial chairs to poll your districts. So Senate district chairs, if you would each do this, count your districts. Let me ask you all, we'll first have everyone stand and then each district chair report. Make sure you're in the right district again, seated. Okay, let's stand and give your Senate district chair time to vote. All those in favor of the resolution as amended say aye, and the Senate district chairs, please record that number. If you're in favor of the resolution, please stand until your senatorial district chair has counted you. Has every district gotten a number? Are those in favor in your district? Okay, now we go to those opposed. All those opposed to the resolution as amended, please stand. Ask the senatorial district chairs to get that tally and bring it to us.
I think it's super close. I'm not sure everybody voted.
Okay, Senate chairs, when you have your numbers both for and against in your district, please bring them up to the secretary. Okay, let's please retake your seats. We have a tally from all the districts. Thank you all for your patience, and for the ST Chair's expert vote tallying. The resolution fails by a vote 82 for and 19 against. Okay, we now are open for other new business. Any other resolutions for other new business? Chair recognizes Joe Pilati.
Thank you, Chief.
Joe, please.
Precinct 70.
Folks, the Rockets are in a runoff. It's playoffs. Playoffs, we need to get home. Maybe they're in a runoff. We're winning.
The game doesn't start till the fourth quarter, really, anyway. Okay, I'm here talking about the...
precinct number.
Joe Pilati,
Son of a
Precinct 70.
bitch, all of you people. Don't you ever...
HSD Prop 1 resolution. Whereas a resultant loss of...
Just read the be it resolved.
Oh, where is it? Oh, sorry. Be it resolved that the HCRP Executive Committee supports passage of HISD Prop 1. This will maintain high-value properties at the Galleria, downtown Houston, Greenway Plaza, on the HISD tax rolls, in turn protecting other property taxpayers from tax increases which would result if these properties were permanently detached and recaptured by the state to support other school districts. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second for the resolution? Second. Okay, you want to speak to the resolution?
Yes, this is a resolution mainly pushing back on bad laws and bad outcomes for local people versus the state coming in and grabbing tax money from the locals to decide how it should fairly be distributed to others not in our taxing district. So basically, there's not a good option. This has nothing to do whether HISD is spending money wisely or not. It's the best of a less bad situation. You have the choice of voting yes on this proposition, keeping all of our property tax property for ourselves, and then to get past the Robin Hood, we'll pay them some cash. So yeah, we will lose the taxing property permanently, or we pay them some cash this year to get past the Robin Hood decision they're coming down on the wealthy HISD. So please vote for Prop 1 for keeping our property taxes low here, keeping our money here.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Anyone to speak against this resolution concerning HISD Prop 1?
Eric Bowles, Precinct 255. I'm speaking against the resolution. I'm the first to agree that we've got a choice between bad and worse. Bad is just going to kick the can further down the road, and it's not just going to be a transfer payment this year. It's going to be for the foreseeable future, approaching $1 billion. There will be a much bigger hue and cry from the property owners when the property is transferred and their taxes go up, and our taxes go up because we're going to be paying more taxes to make up the difference and make up the shortfall. There'll be a much bigger hue and cry to the legislature to actually address this, and so I would encourage a vote against the resolution.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this resolution?
Hi, I'm Thomas Wang, Precinct 21. I just want to speak in favor of this resolution because these are the highly properties that's in Harris County, and it shouldn't be used to jeopardize it to get, Harris County is not going to take this fight. I don't believe that we should take this fight, because if you vote no with this, that means that we are relying on somebody else fighting, taking this to the court, and taking this whole Robin Hood issues. And I don't think this Harris County at this point has the mentality, it has the unity to fight against Robin Hood. Unless we have a leadership in place to do so, then I can vote against this. But as far as right now, we don't have a leadership right now to go against the Robin Hood issue. So unless we had that, we should be, yeah. So that's it.
Okay, Tom. Anyone else to speak against this HISD resolution? Daniel?
Precinct 85, Daniel Caldwell. The proposed ballot resolution is presented pursuant to Texas Education Code, Chapter 41.096, which none of the literature that I have seen in favor of the resolution has discussed. In Section 41.096, the approval that is granted in this ballot proposition is permanent approval, so that they would never again come to the voters to determine whether to send what money to the state. This is giving more power to a governing body that in many times is controlled by Democrats rather than Republicans, and I'd rather withhold that power from Democrats. Furthermore, the total budget, the net funds that would be left to the operation of the Houston Independent School District would remain exactly the same.
Thank you. We have time for one more speaker in favor of this HISD resolution.
The previous speaker has talked about giving away permanently. Do you really want to give away taxable property and let people in another district decide what the rate is we're going to pay on that taxable property? We will never get it back. It is permanent, and as our values of our property go up, they can take more of our property permanently. I just cannot see anybody being opposed to this and giving away our property forever.
Another speaker to speak against this will be the last speaker.
George May, Precinct 612. I just want to point out one thing. Vote your conscience and vote what you believe is in the best interest of HISD and the children going to school and the property taxpayers. I just want to point out one thing that everybody here knows. This scheme where a bureaucrat decides a part of Harris County is not actually in Harris County and will be moved to a taxing entity that might have a different tax rate is absolutely unconstitutional. We have an unconstitutional gun held to our head. It's all very well and fine to vote for this amendment, but understand the law is unconstitutional. It would never actually take anything away, but we don't want to run the risk. So vote for it if you want to. I'm going to vote against it out of protest to have an unconstitutional gun held to our heads.
All right, that's the end of the debate. I'll now put the resolution to you for a vote. If you vote, do we have it up here? Yes, the HIC Proposition 1 resolution in your packets. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. Resolution passes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Would you allow me to please make a motion to adjourn?
I know there was one other resolution that had been put out there. I think we have a quorum. We have a quorum.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
No. No.
You can, but we just...
But there's something that you got.
All right. All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. It is debatable. Would you like to speak to your motion to adjourn? I'm sorry, Jim, what did you say? Can you bring the microphone, please? Are you speaking for the motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
We met the 10-day rule to get into the packet a resolution. And I just think out of honor of the group...
You're speaking against the motion to adjourn.
Against the motion to adjourn. Correct.
Okay.
I am in favor of...
Okay, no one has spoken in favor of the motion to adjourn. What? You waived it. Okay, go ahead.
I'll go forward. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. You're speaking against the motion to adjourn? That's what we're doing right now. It is. We'll verify.
Well, how about people waiting here a couple hours to get their so we can go home?
Okay. He's retracting motion to adjourn so we can adjourn. Would you proceed with your motion? Chair recognizes Dan Comstock.
Good. I would like to proceed with my motion.
Resolution?
Resolution. Thank you. Yes. Okay. You would like the resolves. It's the local ballot initiatives for accelerating the liberty movement. Resolved that the Harris County Republican Party Executive Committee recognizes that local ballot initiatives can be used to roll back municipal mission creep, rein in a growing city tax burden, bring a halt to crony capitalism in city halls across America, relax regulations on business, foster new norms of governance for all levels, and simultaneously help members of the conservative movement who organize such reform, and only one talking at a time. Thank you. Campaigns gain positive name ID that will boost their prospects of success when running for political office. And resolve that the HCRP urges nonprofit organizations doing activist training to include local ballot initiatives in their programs. And resolve that the Executive Committee directs the Chairman to post this resolution on the party website, notify the 16 nonprofits listed below of our decision, and communicate our desire to the national network of Republican parties at all levels that they join the HCRP in this endeavor.
All right, is there a second? Name, precinct number. Cody Singh, precinct 3. Second. You'd like to speak to the resolution, Mr. Comstock?
I will speak to the resolution. Your friendly amendment first?
Friendly amendment on number 6, the URL is wrong. So without objection,
Is this an editorial change we could make afterward? Okay, we'll do that. Don't need a motion.
Thank you. It is. It's already actually been noted. We just couldn't send it out
Okay.
because it was already sent out. Okay. Speaking to this, one of the things we need to do is to energize people that are not all precinct chairs in this city and in this state and in this country. We need to get people involved. One of the ways of getting them involved is getting them involved in issues. One example of that, by the way, is Michael Kubosh, who mounted a great campaign, a red light campaign that got everybody very excited. And in the end, Michael Kubosh became a city councilman. He is currently sitting on the city council. And I wonder, without the red light camera issue, he might have been able to do that. That actually is something that could be done more times than not. But without being elected to city council, just the effects of doing it. Now, I want to say one thing. Voting for this does not mean you're voting for any particular issue. The whereases cover some issues where you're not voting for or against any issue. All you're voting for is to let HCRP encourage adding a little bit of training to these 16, encouraging them.
All right.
Can I finish the sentence? No.
Go ahead.
Okay. Encouraging those 16 nonprofits to add that into their training.
Okay, someone speak against the resolution? Kirk Wills?
It's not actually against the resolution, but it's against posting on the website what we're doing and how we're doing it and who we're doing it with. As you mentioned...
So is this an amendment to the resolution?
It's an amendment to the resolution. Just basically to strike the part about posting on our website, because as you mentioned in your report at the beginning of the meeting, that the Democrats know what we're doing. I'm not in favor of any more half-baked left-wing ideas making it onto the ballot because they're following our roadmap.
So are you proposing an amendment?
The amendment would be to
strike after the word endeavor?
Striking the stuff about posting the resolution on the party website and notifying. Yeah, do it. But, we don't need to tell them.
Bring it up on the floor.
Strike the last paragraph, the last resolve. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But usually you get a chance to get your resolutions.
Is there a second? Dan Comstock, second. You want to speak to this amendment at all? This would be to strike that resolve bullet point. Anyone want to speak against this to keep that bullet point?
Sure, I'll speak against it. As we already saw, the Democrats are perfectly willing to tell us that they're working with communists and all these other groups. They already know what we're doing. They know what groups we work with. And if I were a random Republican would-be volunteer who was looking at the website trying to find who to work with in order to get involved, I would want to see something like this. So I don't think we should pass this amendment. I think it's a good resolve clause, and I think it's a good resolution. So,
anyone else to speak in favor of?
Question.
Okay, question to put to you. We're going to vote on the resolution. On the amendment to the resolution to strike the last paragraph, the resolved paragraph, in the local ballot initiative resolution. All those in favor of striking that paragraph say aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. I believe the amendment fails. All right, we're back to the resolution. And I think the question is unanimously called. Moved by Dan Comstock, seconded by Marvin Cleed.
We're calling the question.
Calling the question on the resolution. Is that right?
Calling the question.
Yes, we're calling the question. So this is the vote, is to end debate on this resolution. If you want to end debate on this resolution, then go home and say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. All right, debate's over. Now we're going to vote on the local ballot initiative resolution as unamended. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution passes. Have any other new business?
Can I offer, please, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Thank you all very much for having me. This meeting's adjourned.
Nope.